Hopefully you can hear me okay. Using the new microphone again. Fingers crossed it's all good. Look, thanks for joining us. Really real privilege to have Mr. Calibre Wings Noel on himself. So let me just try and see if I can add him in. Bear with. Good evening, everyone. Oh, there we go. Got someone. There we go. Except, hopefully, this should be Noel. Yes.
Hey,
There
guys.
we
Hey.
go. Can you hear me okay, mate?
It worked.
Oh, I
Can you
can't
hear
hear
me?
you. Bear with. Let me just try it and... Hope I can't hear you, Noel. Nothing's coming through. Let me just take these out and put them back in.
Hello. Testing.
Yeah, say something, Noel. See if it's working.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Bloody earphones ain't working, are they? Typical. Do you know what? Easiest way to do it is unplug the microphone, because when you plug it in, it gets a bit funny.
I can hear you. Yeah.
That's better. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
That's much better. Sorry about that, mate. So this new microphone, because it goes into the audio feed, it takes away the headset. So I've managed to connect the earphones up, and I think it's connected to the phone as well, and it's all gone a bit weird. So apologies for that, mate. But look, thank you for everyone who's joined. Look, thanks. Look, I really appreciate you. So anybody who don't know, Noel has got up at stupid o'clock over in China to do this. He was going to get up at 3 o'clock, but I made the joke earlier. Fantastic at models, shit at keeping time, I think was the joke I made. We had no idea what time it was either side of the world, so it is a logistical challenge to say the least. But look, mate, really appreciate you getting up at silly o'clock over in China for this. It's been way too long, 5 years, believe it or not, since we've done this.
6, coming to 6. Oh, you're counting track actually. Okay.
Yeah. I think it was 2020, wasn't it? It was middle of 2020.
2020. So yeah, 5 years or 6 years.
Yeah, it's mental. We can't count either, but the counts going well, isn't it? Look, thanks, mate. Look, I really appreciate it. Obviously, dare I say, we'll get into it in a minute, but riding the crest of a wave right now with your latest release, which I'm sure we'll get to amongst the many questions I've got. But look, the first bit I thought we'd just a general catch up, really, mate. Just to talk to you. One, see how you've been, because obviously I know we chat through message, but we very rarely catch up by phone or by video call. And I should do that more often, mate. But so how you been?
Just give me a second. I'm actually doing a live stream on my other channel. So for people who are listening, not knowing what's going on because they can't hear you. So I'm actually doing a live stream now with Mark from the Diecast Wings Collectors, and I'm just listening to him do Q&A, and I'll just respond as and when. So just for those guys who are on my channel. So yeah, go ahead.
Good to see you doing them again, mate. That's I'll be tuning in myself if I weren't on it. So how you been, mate? So what's been going down the last few months?
So I have been doing okay. So ever since the last time we spoke, that was actually in the midst of the pandemic, right? 2020. So I was in mainland China, and fortunate to be in mainland China because I was able to be at the factory to churn out all the Calibre wings, F-14s during that time. So the whole 2020 was me doing that, and come 2021, the factory decided that they were not going to be doing my stuff by not telling me upfront that, hey, we can't do your stuff anymore. It's a little bit difficult. We can't have you QCing every piece by piece, because the factory has a way of doing things, which is they just do it. And in a perfect world for the factory, mistakes are done, but it's not intentional. But you can't be sitting there and QCing everyone, because the time you take to QC, the workers are just sitting there waiting for you. So as a factory, that's not efficient. You got to have people keep on. The lines got to be running. The workers got to be doing stuff, because the factory boss got to be paying the workers. So for me to be sitting there, basically ravaging through the models one by one. You know, the factory boss like, you can't do this. This is ridiculous. So instead of telling me that that was the problem, they just simply said, oh, the F-16 is going to be this time, that time, which is the wave two, by the way, the wave two, and it was never done, right? So it was never done. And then what was worse is that they actually forbade me from going to the factory, right? So I was actually having to send colors of the wave two through mail. I was actually putting the colors on a pieces of paper, right? I airbrushed them myself, and I gave it to them, and then they just did it. That's why the entire wave two of the F-16s were wrong. The bellies were almost white. All the colors was off because there was no me there to check the stuff, and that was just the fact of the matter, right? Because I had wanted to go with a different tone of the F-16, because as we all know, even though there's the FS colors for F-16, different squadrons at different periods of time have different tones of paint, and it's just the way it is, right? So I figured that based on what I'm seeing on the real pictures, these colors were a little bit lighter than my initial colors. So we're not going to be doing a verbatim, just copy the first colors and do it. We want to do every F-16 and every model that's unique in their own tone, and that's always been my stand, even though it has become under criticism that, uh, that's the pain. Don't mess with it. If that's the case, then you have your whole entire fleet on the display looking exactly the same. And what's the point of that, right? You want to have different tones, because under different lighting, under different whatever, it has different shades, and that's the whole idea. So fast forward that, I wasn't able to do the QC, and then it was just delivered, and that was the whole fiasco of the F-16 Wave 2. And incidentally, the reason why it was called Ramen model at a point of time also helps to differentiate between that batch, which is not exactly Calibre wings, right?
Yeah.
But neither is it a dump on the brand Ramen, because Ramen toy was created in 2021 as part of as you know, now we're celebrating our 5th anniversary. So a little bit of juggling here and there is that Ramen toy is basically just doing toys. It's not models.
Sorry to
But
jump in there quick, though.
yeah,
So with
go
Ramen
yeah,
Toys, was that
yeah.
always the plan to start that, or was it a reaction to not being able to get in your factory and you thought, shit, I've got to be doing something because I'm stuck in limbo here? Did you create Ramen Toy as a way of almost getting something else going to keep income coming in and also sort of widen your passion, or was it always the plan to run Ramen alongside Calibre?
Ramen toy was created back in 2015 when I was in Hong Kong doing Caliber toys, right? So it's a bit of this and that, because you have Caliber toys, which later become Caliber wings, and you have Ramen toy, which also later have a branch of Ramen model, which was never in place other than that particular one
It's
batch.
just a
So
combo.
yeah, so Ramen toy was created in 2015 when I was in Hong Kong, but it was never used. It was always a brand that was just there
This there,
for
yeah.
the purpose
Uh,
of doing like third-party toys and action figures. So circling back a little bit, was the reason why Ramen model was done for Caliber wings was because I was told when I was in mainland China that somebody had actually registered Caliber wings as their IP, as their trademark, right? Because one of my friends was actually doing his trademark registration, and he actually saw by accident, that oh, what is this Caliber wings? By this Chinese dude. He thought that it was owned by me. Then he told me that, and then I actually went to find out, and true and behold, Caliber Wings is registered under somebody in Beijing in 2020, right? So
Jesus.
I was initially quite adamant that there's no way I will lose Caliber Wings, because
Absolutely
obviously
not. It's your
Caliber Wings
baby.
is by me,
You
and I have
are
all
Calibre
the
wings, and that's the thing, isn't
exactly
it?
and I have all the documentation and history from when I started in 2015, right? But in the eyes of the law, if you don't have a paper to say that you own the trademark, you don't own the trademark. So
Yeah.
whoever has the trademark papers owns the trademark. And what that means in China is that this guy could actually come to a factory that I'm working for, that's working for me. And then if they see Calibre Wings products, they can say, oh, this person is doing counterfeits of Calibre Wing. I'm going to seize everything. So that actually works. So that was actually one of
Wow.
my fears that that could happen. So that's why I changed to Ramen model, right? But thankfully, like I said, Ramen model became a fiasco with the F-16 Wave 2. And basically, I'm still back to my being adamant that nobody's going to come in and suddenly take all my stock. So I'm actually okay with that. So I'm continuing with Calibre Wing, as you see, with the MiG-31, everything else. So everything's status quo. Even though the guy registers Calibre Wings, because he's not able to do anything unless he makes his own Calibre Wings models, it's basically nothing to him. It's like a guy sitting on the Apple website, www.apple.com, that's not registered by Apple. As long as Apple don't pay him. In fact, the guy asked me to pay him like some money, some like 10, 20,000 RMB to get
Wow.
the, which like, no, I'm not going to pay you a single cent. You know.
Good boy. Good boy. I
So
hope
yeah,
you gave him. I hope you gave him the bird, for want of a better
yeah,
word. So, I'm sure. I'm sure you
yeah.
didn't take it. I'm sure you didn't take it lightly, Noel, knowing you quite well there. But look, actually, just adding to what you've just said, I think that adds to, I guess, some of the stress you've had. Obviously living in China, where obviously everything had gone very, very, dare I say, tits up. Adding that into the factor as well, you've had a bit of a stressful run there, haven't you?
Well, I always believe that don't let stress get to you. Although there is real evidence of stress in life. So carrying a little bit on what happened to me during those years, the formative years, so to speak. So that happened, and then I basically was sort of without a factory to make Calibre Wing stuff. Okay, I had actually been a bit disappointed because I've trained the factory to do what I want, and I was actually producing decent models. Right, it was actually a good run of models. So I brought I saw so the factory that's doing my ramen toy now. I told the guy, why don't you help me with the diecast models? And he said okay, and that was the fiasco of the CA721417. Right, it was the checkmates because I allowed them to just, okay, so show me what you can do. And they did it, and it was all not good. It was just not good. Okay. And that is the blip in our classic cats production, because seriously, that particular batch was not good. And I was not able to actually do the same as I did with the factory previously, because there was no space for me to actually sit down and do the stuff and check the stuff. And even though I was checking some stuff, again, the same uh issues happen with any other factory, right? Is that when you check the stuff, if they don't know what you want, they will just do it their way after you check it, and that results in colors being wrong, that results in badly applied colors, different tones on the same fuselage nose, etc., etc. You know the story, right? So that was like, okay, once I saw that, I was like, oh shit. But at the same time, I can't say just throw the whole thing away, because it's all
No,
money, right? It's all
you got to
money.
make a return on it. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so it's like biting the bullet, just put it out there. If I got to discount it, I discount it, and then I said, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do the F-14. So we did that. And the second one was the Need for Speed, the second run of the Maverick and Goose uh, model. And that turned out pretty okay, right? Because now
Yeah.
I'm saying, oh, get your act together. This is what I want. And then we did that. Okay. But still not perfect, right? Still not perfect, because I think there's some issues because I didn't like go through the whole thing. But at least it's now from zero, we're getting up, right? It's like Manchester United last season, the lowest in the Premier League. in the history, and then you can only go up, right, or get
Yeah,
relegated.
true.
So so I started, of course, on the well, I was starting on the MiG 31 back then. That was during the COVID year. So MiG 31, and that was actually the new tooling from when I was in after 2020. So we did that. It took some time, but we finished it. And again, I was doing the effects by hand, even though I asked the factory to do some of it and it was not satisfactory. So I was doing that. We released that, and obviously there was the fiasco of the gear gate, right? The missing strut on the MiG 31. So that was totally a issue on my an oversight on my part, because I mean, as I was focusing on so many things that they missed putting on the part that was clearly even missed on the prototype. So I can't really fault them. So I didn't catch it when they missed it out on the prototype, because obviously uh, the whole model was done on the 3D. I was checking for everything. And then for some reason, I missed that piece of strap. So to one of your questions, maybe I'll just jump in, is that will the initial customers be replaced with a strut? The answer is no, because I can't do that. But I am putting back the strut for the subsequent MiG 31 release. So a bit here and there, we got the COVID situation. We got factory kicking me out, no factory to make Calibre wings, to finding a factory to make who makes toys, who don't understand die cast to make my models, which was a failure. And then we started to teach them how to do it. They got a MiG 31 out, which was decent. And then finally the B58. So again, the B58, the reason why it was delayed was, again, even though I thought that I've instilled in them the standard, it wasn't done, because evidently when I was looking at the final product, even though it looks good from far, right? When you look in, it's like, oh, that's not right. That's an overspray. That's a different tone. This is not supposed to be like that. And then what do? We got to go back and redo everything, not from scratch, but like redo, as if you're having a model. You got to mask it, you got to respray it, and that's how the B50 was delayed. Okay, and again, because now, like I told the factory, I cannot afford any mistakes, so I have got to check it one by one by one by one. So, and because I'm doing also my ramen toy, there's just no way I can be focused on checking every model every day without doing anything else,
No, of
right?
course not. Of
So
course not. You
there
can't be in
was
two places
there
at
was
once.
yeah, so there was time spent to check it, and then obviously there was the holidays, etc., etc. Um, so yeah, I mean, finally things are delivered, right? So you guys have your B58 in hand. I don't think I really delayed too much. I think the most I delayed was 3 months, right? 3 months,
Yeah, I think it
a
was
quarter of a
November. You
year.
said February, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, February, March
yeah,
time. And look,
yeah.
you can see from the diecast community. I mean, we'll get to more of that in a minute, but I think you've probably now set the standard. You probably made a rod for your own back, to obviously use the terminology over here, because you've set the standard for diecast now, and people are going absolutely ballistic over this. You can just see, what you released 1,000, now I think you released 500 more, and they went like that, didn't they? And I've
Yeah,
managed to
that's right.
miss out on them twice, and
Okay.
well, 3 times, including the Flying Tigers one, because you've got to time it. You've got to time it with money and stuff like that. And there's a few people on the call tonight. Chris from Heavy Metal Diecast. I know. I think he sold a kidney to buy one because he was so desperate to get it. But you look at
Okay.
Renee's video review over on YouTube, the Dutch Diecast Collector. Outstanding, and I'm getting to see it. So one of the guys who helps run the page, Gary, he's bringing it down to me to show me his one, and he's over the moon with it. Absolutely delighted with what you've done, and I think you've really have set the bar, mate. And I know obviously the prototype was probably the last B58 to fly, because I know you was upset with how they delivered it to you, and that put you back a bit. But my God, you've got it right, and I think you should be really proud of yourself, mate, because I know this, obviously the struggles you've gone through, and that little sort of opening gambit. I think anybody who doesn't know you would now appreciate that a little bit more, if that makes sense, because you are a one-man band. You are trying to spin all these different plates in one go, and there's only so much you can do, mate. So look, but I think look, fantastic. I mean, we'll get into a bit more of that in a minute.
Sure.
Um, so I've got a few questions for you, and
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll pick up some general chit chat towards the end. And we've broken it down across the three platforms. So I don't quite know how you're going to do this. Look, Christian has just put into the chat, I'm buying two of them, 100% contender for model of the year. And I think fair enough. And I know Christian is a hard man to please. If you don't mind me saying that, I wouldn't call him a rivet counter. I wouldn't want to say that about him, but he loves the details to be right, and rightly so, because you're paying good money for it, and he is over the moon with it. So look, really, really good. But and yeah, I digress. So I know I see you're on your live stream, so you might have to repeat the question for your viewers, your end. So we've done it across YouTube, Facebook, and the Model Hanger Free Forum, which is a tough gig for any man. So YouTube, the first bit, I know you just sort of touched on it. Any news on a new MiG 31?
Yes, there is a new MiG-31 because initially I wanted to do the Kazakhstan version, because the reason why I want to do it is because I bought the Hasegawa kit, which is actually not Hasegawa kit. It's I think it's a Zveda kit. It's one of those kit that they OEM, and they just
Yeah,
put the kit in and just put in some Hasegawa decals. So I was actually thinking about my next wave for the MiG-31, and I actually bought that kit. The reason why I bought that kit was to just counter check the scale, right? Because I was doing my own MiG-31, and I got no 172 scale MiG-31 to counter check. So I bought that kit to just do a size comparison to make sure that I'm doing things correctly. But of course, it's not a Hasegawa kit. So I ended up like not even looking at it because it's not actually what I perceived was like a new mold. So it's already been done before. So there was no use for me. But the decal was useful because it was the Kazakhstan's squadron. And I actually did a very rough sample on the Beijing Hobby Expo last April, and that I showed that. Obviously, not the best because again, the factory was basically just putting it together very haphazardly, and the colors probably wasn't right. There was no toning, but I just got to display something, right? I went there with the B58 and the MiG-31. That was it. I couldn't go empty-handed, right, to the Beijing Hobby Expo, so I did that. But on hindsight, so there was more requests for an actual Soviet, right, Russian livery. So I have now changed it to a Russian livery, uh, which I will announce really soon. In fact, I will announce it probably at the 1 year anniversary of me going to the Beijing Hobby Expo. So in April, I'll be at the expo and I'll be showing off the new MiG-31 for this year. And it wouldn't be the Kazakhstan one; it'll be a Russian version. Yeah.
fantastic. There you go. So there's
Yeah.
the answer for that. Now, this is one that's come up quite a lot. Is another one of your toolings is the status for the Grumman tracker, and I've got obviously quite a bit of more detailed questions for that further down the
Okay.
line. Are you allowed to elaborate on what's happening? I know at one point you
Okay.
said you'd cancelled it.
So so this is like a big dent to my resume because I had shown the tracker back before COVID. We actually gotten very quick in terms of the 3D model to the tooling. That's because I actually went to Kinetic Models in Hong Kong and said, hey, you got a S2 tracker and that's 148. Can I buy your 3D and modify it so that it is 172 and there's no conflict of interest with your model? That means my model, after buying from you, your 3D is not going to compete with you because you're
Yeah,
selling a model kit. I'm selling a complete diecast. And I'm not just copying your 3D, but I'm actually changing it so that it's more accurate to
yeah.
what the S2 tracker should be. Of course, that's not good to say because that means I'm actually critiquing his
Doing
work,
that a little
right?
bit.
But I believe I've done a more accurate S2, which you guys will see once you have it. And what happened very ashamedly, in fact, is that the factory that was doing the tooling basically did it like the model kit, which means there is no joints for a die cast. A die cast requires enough joints either for glue or for screws, and that wasn't done on the S2 tooling. And I'm not at that point of time a tooling expert. I'm just there to make a model look good,
Yeah.
give it the information to the factory, and the factory makes the model that can be produced by their methods, right? So in
Yeah.
the end, what I got was various toolings that was put together like a model kit. And since that factory is not doing my stuff anymore, I got to find a new factory, which is my factory. My factory tells me that there's no way the worker is going to be gluing together, the engine, the cell, like two pieces of plastic, like a model kit, and start
Yeah.
sanding away, and it's going to be like a big packs to like, pack fit, that sort of thing. So that was the conundrum. My factory said they can't do it, and I can't be doing it. So who's going to do it? So at a point of time, I was so frustrated, like you said, frustrations and stress, that I said, okay, let's just cancel it, right? Let's just bite the bullet and cancel it. But then again, the person in me, the fighting spirit said, no, I can't cancel it. So how about this? Why don't we do a Kickstarter and let the fans help me to fund it so I can do new molds for the parts that requires new molds. But I never got to that because I was so busy with my stuff that the factory who was supposed to help me to make the necessary corrections and then allow me to do the Kickstarter, we never got to it. So that was something that was just material facts, right? And also, I'm not any expert in Kickstarter, so I'm not even sure how to begin doing a Kickstarter page without employing someone to do it, and that's more cost, right?
Yeah.
So all these in my mind, the cost, right? We've already invested the money on the initial tooling that has not seen the light of day for what is coming to 6 years now, right? 6 years. A project. So I got my highs and my lows, and my lows is going to be the S2 tracker that was announced more than 6 years ago has not seen the light of day, even though we've seen the test shot, right? We've actually seen actual metal. So that's something that I got to get onto to sort of finish the business. And what I intend to do now is to just have the factory put together something, maybe a very limited run, because the fact that they can't do it in mass production, maybe they can do it in limited production, right? So let's do a limited production of the first two models and get it out the door first. Let the collectors critique it. And then, just like the MiG-31's missing strut, we can go back with some sales to go back and retool some things and then properly put out the S2. So that's the current plan, which I hope to
Okay.
achieve by the end of this year. Yep.
Okay. Well, I've got some more questions around S2 further
Okay.
down the line, but look, I think a lot of S2 fans will now be quite happy with that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's another one as well, which I'll ask you, if you don't mind me asking, is obviously some of your tooling has ended up at JC Wings. So, are you allowed to elaborate that deal, or is it one of those things that, because of the business deal, that you're not really allowed to talk about? So let's just get right. So the SU-24 has gone over. F-14. I mean, I'm still convinced the
F-16.
F-16. Oh, yeah, F-16's gone over. And there's
Yeah.
another one as well, isn't there? My brain isn't
The
working
the
quite
the
properly.
fitter, the fitter.
That fitter, yeah. So
Yeah.
one which you designed but gave to them, I'm guessing. So you're allowed to
Yeah,
elaborate around that
yeah, of
relationship.
course. Of course. So when I started the SU-22, the SU-20, the fitter, I decided to give JC's factory the manufacturing of it, right, as well as the tooling of it. So we again, at the point of time, I was juggling between that factory that was doing my stuff, or before. So before I found that factory that was doing my stuff, I was looking for an alternative just in case, right? The just in case alternative. But I knew that JC's factory couldn't do at least the stuff that I want to do. That's from seeing their production of the other witty wings more. But I decided to give it a try just to maybe I can educate them to do it. So the fitter was done with them, the tooling. But again, the tooling somehow was not to my standard, and I wanted to make some changes. And at that point of time, the tool maker was saying there's going to be no more changes. So what do? I told JC, what do I do? This is when I open the wings, it's scratching the paint. The canopy is not sitting properly. There are some visible seam lines on the fuselage. Uh, the hard points are loose. One side of the gear covers is good. The other side has a big gap. You can see it. The if I'm not mistaken, the something on the side of the fuselage on the front landing gear was reversed. There was a few issues, right? And then I said, I want these issues corrected. But the tool maker is saying, no, this is already the price that we have paid, and up to this point is the price. The money is gone. That means if they are doing more work, it's going to be more money, which is like what the hell, right? So after a bit of back and forth, I said, okay, then let JC have the tooling. I get my money back, and then that was it. So for some miraculous reason, or miraculous ways, not reason, they were able to put out the models, and I look at it, I was like, oh, everything that I wanted is solved, you know. And I think that the quality is not bad, right?
It's
So
that
at
Chris
least
has just
there
said
is,
the current fitter tooling is awesome. He says one of his favourite
yeah,
current toolings. It's an
yeah.
awesome bit of
So
kit.
yeah, so kudos, right? Kudos that it was done. And then after that, since I'm not doing any production due to my factory situation, I OEM my tooling to them. So they actually are using my tooling for what we call OEM, right? Original equipment manufacturer. So they didn't own my tooling. I'm just lending it to them. And then of
Okay.
course
But that gives, I guess that gives you a return. Obviously, I don't
yeah,
want to talk about your finances,
a
but
bit
give you
of
a return. Yeah, that's
yeah, a
good.
bit of stuff. So yeah,
So
that's
that you can
the
still
whole
produce
story.
them then, yeah? So although it's
Of
on
course, I'm
loan,
still producing them. Yeah.
that's good. That's
As and
quality.
when as and when I can have enough bandwidth to produce them, I'll be bringing them back to produce them. Of course, yeah.
That's good. That's really good. So there you go. That has answered a question that many people have asked across all three areas. So
Okay.
thank you, mate. On to really good. I've got another one, just the last one from YouTube. Quite a more of a request, really. Would you consider the MiG 21? It says a lack of great model for collectors. So the one that we've got at the moment is quite flawed in many ways. Is a MiG 21
Okay.
potentially one you'd look at?
Yeah, why not? Because I am also interested in the fish bit. So again, I can't promise anything now because based on the way I would have to find a 3D modeler, which is
Yeah,
again a difficult thing in today's context. Apparently, there's just so little of these uh, people who can draw 3D models in my circle or the people that I know or the companies that I know. So it's a bit tough. I don't want to promise anything, but maybe we'll talk about that in the question of the next 5 years. So it's something that I could do. I could do surely. It requires money to draw to tool. So we'll see. Maybe we can. I don't know. Let me find the 3D models first, and then maybe we can get things done in the next few years. Yeah.
brilliant. So that's the YouTube chunk done. So we're going to move on to Facebook. I've only got 3 questions to Facebook, so nothing too sinister here. This
Okay.
is obviously the hot topic at the moment is your wonderful B58. So what's the plan
Oh.
for further B58s? Is there a number of schemes you've got in mind that you'd like to bring out?
Oh, definitely. Because once you make a tooling, you want to amortize it by doing more production. That's a no-brainer, right? It's just a question of the timing and again, there's not too many schemes for the B58. So the next one would be revealed at the Beijing Hobby Expo, and
Fantastic.
and uh, and I will probably do the imaginary camouflage scheme as well.
I was just about to
So
touch on that. So
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
Corgi released the imaginary or the pseudo scheme of the TSR2, didn't they? And it sold fantastically well, which I think
Okay.
really surprised us. And of course, then Hobby Master have released a number of different pseudo schemes for Raptors and God knows what else. So there is clearly a market for it. So I mean, I know like a Vietnam style camo one would look sensational on the Hustler if I think there's an appetite for it, mate. And so again, just to go back, I mean, I'm only from chatting from a Corgi contacts that each new tooling, according to Corgi, needs 3 successful releases to bring that money back in. Is that very much the case with toolings your end as well? Obviously, you're at the source, so Corgi have got it in the UK and they use a Chinese factory. So is it generally the case with you as well that you need 3 successful releases to get back on track? Otherwise, it's sort of all doom and gloom.
Um, I don't think so. No, there's no such
That's
rule.
good. That's
It
good.
depends
That's
on
good
how
then.
you. It depends on how you sell, how you manage your finances, how you. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Well, obviously the B58 has been a big stonking success. So that's great to hear, mate. That's really, really great to hear. And look, in terms of other bits, obviously you're renowned for your F14. Considered the best on the market, dare I say. And obviously Century Wings are out the way, but there's some bits for that about in a minute. Are there any plans to update the F14? I know, obviously, last time we spoke, you mentioned it briefly in terms of slightly retooling it. Is that on the agenda?
Yes. So last time at the previous factory, I've already came up with the flaps down version, the revised gear door, front landing gear door. There's in 4 pieces. But of course that wasn't done, and I've lost the prototypes on that one, and I don't have the 3D because they did the 3D for me. So that means that I've lost all that work, and if I need to do any updates, it's gonna be from scratch. So I don't know. I don't think I want to do any revision or updates on the F14. If I want to do it, I'll probably do it in a should I dare say a different scale? So yeah,
Okay.
I don't,
Okay. But
yeah.
there's questions around that a little bit further down the line. So, but well, 148 Tomcat could be sensational. I know the way I know, obviously, what in terms of the size of the bloody thing as well, that could be some
Mm.
one hell of a model for collectors to go for. And I think there's probably an appetite out there because obviously Corgi's 148 scale stuff, with the exception of the Tornado, which is a bit of a how can I it's just awful and completely out of sync. I mean, they had done really, really well, and there's a real good appetite for that out there. So a 148 Tomcat, ladies and gentlemen, don't rule it out. In terms of the last one for now, somebody has asked who clearly hasn't got a B58 for the first run, and I know you extended it by 500. Will there be a further run of the first release B58?
Okay, so now that everybody is having their models, I can announce it because otherwise it'll be detrimental to initial buyers. So the
Yep.
first uh, livery, I will have a very limited run with the panel lining, and I'll show it off at the Beijing Hobby Show.
Oh, lovely.
So
Well
that
done.
so that would be the so-called second chance to get it, but it's with panel lining. Yeah,
There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but that says, I think that says a lot about, it's probably, with the greatest respect, it's probably the most expensive die-cast model that's been released. If like, it has to be, like, because of the size of it, the investment and stuff like that. But the fact that there's still an appetite for it, I think says a lot about the product, right? So
Yeah.
mate, you should be incredible. Like I said, I know we touched on it at the start. I mean, it has gone down really, really well. I mean, there's 100 pages on MH3 just about the
Oh,
Hustler
okay.
alone. So there was a lot of excitement on there around it, and it's hit the spot. So look, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard another exclusive here. So Christian said panel lining. I'm guessing that's going to be almost like a weathered style. Then are we talking?
Yeah. So the again, I came on to the scene saying that I wanted to do realistic looking models, which includes panel lining and weathering. So I've achieved both of that. First of all, panel lining on the SU-24s. So they were panel lined in the first wave. And I achieved the weathering, so to speak, in the Top Gun F-14 models, where there's a different tone of grays on the model, as well as one of my other F-16, the RSAF. There's some toning on the models. And for the B58, I thought that as a first model, it should be that clean version, right? Like museum quality.
Factory fresh,
And I was there in Dayton, Ohio, fortunately, in 2023, to really have a look at the real thing, to digest and appreciate what the model is before I actually released the model. Because I had already done the modeling in China, right? And that was during COVID. And had I not gone to Dayton to really fully appreciate the thing by itself, I think I would have delivered a lesser model. Because after seeing that, I still made some changes, on what should be, especially on the markings. Got really close up on some of the markings and took pictures and was able to implement it there. Of course, I couldn't see it from the aerial point. There's no drone that let me see how it looks like from the top. So that was a bit of a pity. And then at the same time, there was actually an app from the Dayton, Ohio, that shows cockpit, or rather, they recommend to me a cockpit view, some app that was from the Dayton, I think. But then again, that app was kind of removed. So I had actually planned to do all the details of the cockpit with that app by seeing the 360. But unfortunately, that app was removed and then it was gone. And I got to revert back to just looking at pictures to do it. So what we have in the B58 currently, even though you really can't see it because of the way it is, but if you do see it, we have packed as much detail as we could into those cockpit panels. So yeah, I mean the B58 was pretty good in that sense of having be able to go to Dayton and then looking at the real thing and supporting my initial vision that the first model is going to be nice and pristine. But having said that, yeah, the panel lining is going to be done just to accentuate those details. So what you're going to have, I'll show it really soon once I have the
Have you
paging
done one
thing.
yet? Have you actually made one with the
No, I've
panel
not.
line?
It's sitting on my desk waiting for me to apply the
Oh,
panel.
okay. It's waiting for the Noel touch.
Yeah. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. So
Yeah, because panel lining needs to be done by the creator, because if you get the factory to do it, they'll just swipe it with wash, and that's just not the way it is. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Sorry, just to go back to what I said 100 pages on MH3, PGA underscore 1974. I said it's 103. So that is one hell of a one. I think it's the biggest feed that forum has ever seen. They might correct me if I'm wrong. I'd also say PGA 1975, are you trying to get me in trouble there? So we'll get to them bits in a minute. So when we get to the MH3 questions, a lot of them have been repeated. A lot of them you've already answered. So we spoke about the MiG-31. We spoke about, obviously, potential for new releases on the B-58, which you confirmed. Although somebody mentioned an Edwards Air Force Base orange tail chevron one as a potential scheme to consider. The next one, really, which you haven't answered, it said, "What will you be working on new toolings? And do you have any idea of what your next project might be? If so, are you allowed to reveal it, or are you going to keep it close to your chest? Because obviously, I don't want you to say something that could potentially be hijacked by someone else. Because I think for anybody who's watched this before, no, seriously, because anyone who's watched this before, Noel actually revealed that he was doing a U2. And within a number of weeks, another manufacturer then revealed that they're doing a U2. And I was convinced that was a result of you, and that's on here. So I am, obviously, we'd love an exclusive, but also don't want to get you in the shit because you've got a business to run. So over to you now.
Yes. I almost forgot about the U2 and you had to bring it up to
Yeah, so I'm sorry, no.
my
Yeah.
nightmares.
Yeah. Like, hi, Mark. I've had a really shit time the last few years. Thanks for
Yeah.
just giving me a little dig in the rib there as well. So,
So because I had a very long back and forth with somebody who was having insights on the U2, and he provided me with information, etc., on the antenna farm under the belly. So I was really looking forward to doing that. But the factory that banned me from going there, when they did the 3D model, it just wasn't right. The 3D model was just not right, and I was asking for changes, but they just couldn't do it right. So much so that they said, "Oh, let's just do a hand sample, and then after the hand sample is good, we will scan it and then put it onto the computer." But the hand sample was also not good. In fact, the hand sample is worse because they got the guy who is not skilled at doing hand samples to do hands. I can see it because I think this person is a mediocre sculptor. He can do mediocre stuff, but if you want to do something like the shape of a U2, right? It's just not in his ballpark. So that was really up in flames, and I was and I there's no way for me to. I mean, it's not really financially sound for me to go back to do a U2 when obviously the Hobby Master version is out there. And even though if I can just add so much more detail to it, at the end of the day, on 72 scale, between this and that, it's all black. Most people can't make a difference, So it's just not so wise for me to do that right now. So
no, I completely get that. And that's why I wanted to sort of add a little bit of context to it for anybody out there, because actually I felt really awful about that because obviously you'd given us this amazing news that you was releasing an aircraft that's never been tooled in 172 scale before, and all of a sudden one of your competitors
yeah,
has
so maybe
suddenly
we'll.
started announcing it. So basically, Noel, you've just announced
Yeah.
an F6, an F7 F Tiger Cat. There you go, help me master. They've just realised, so they're going to make that. But anyhow, look, thanks, mate. Bear with me on to the next one. My phone keeps locking on me.
Okay.
One of the people, I was going back to the tracker again, and it sort of does make sense, but knowing how you operate, I would probably guess I know the answer to this. So regarding the tracker, would it not be more viable to produce it without the wing fold feature? And I know that would add less detail in, which is pretty much what you are all about. But would it be viable to do a different mold with a flat wing rather than the folding wing?
The problem is not with the wing. As I mentioned, the problem was with various parts of the
Like the
model that was
engine,
tooled
yeah,
like a model kit.
the cows, yeah,
So if it's a model kit, we can't manufacture it. The workers are not modelers. The workers are workers that put one part and one part together,
yeah.
and that's it. In a sense, they are assembling a model, but it's assembled in a very, almost like a snap kit sort of
Yeah, I remember seeing
thing.
the layout when you
Yeah,
produced what 4 or 5 samples, and you had obviously
yeah,
the metal tooling
yeah,
bit, and you had the rows of plastic bits,
yeah.
and that's sort of actually how complex that looked. For you're
Yes.
talking about not everybody who works in the factory is a modeler,
Yep.
are they? They're just
Yep.
there to pay their bills, right? So
Yeah,
they're
that's right.
just going to slam it all together, left, right, and centre. And you've seen that by some of the mass-produced models
Mm.
that have been made that have all been just slapped together willy-nilly, and it just doesn't look right. I did think that would, but I mean, to be honest with you, would it be more viable for you to redesign that to be flat-winged? It'd be
No,
easier to put it.
no,
It wouldn't,
no.
no?
It's not more viable. It's gonna be just more cost. So just stay with me and let me sort it out. And the plan now is to put up actual model kits to the collectors, and then on I will see how to get income revenue to retool the parts that can be properly manufactured. Yeah.
Right. Next one, though. So you've produced the B58, which is a giant aircraft, probably the biggest jet in 172 scale that we've seen. There's a number of people who are asking for another one, the Bone, the B1B.
Mm.
Is it potentially one on your agenda further down the line, do you think? Do you think it's viable to do?
Um, it's always viable because I wanted to do the C130 in 172 scale. right?
You
But the
madman.
C-130 was not done yet because even though I've taken all the pictures from the air show of the RSCF C-130, I can't execute it because I've asked about how to make the wings that merges to the body, how to make it seamless. And
Yeah.
there's no way to do it. It's got to be separated parts. So there's going to be a big gap, a big, like a, not gap, but a formation line that is, that can't be erased. So that was part of the challenge, as well as not finding 3D modelers to make it. So I'm still don't know. I'm still seeing whether doing a C-130 in 172 would finally materialize or not. That's something that I don't know myself. As regards to the B1, it's probably easier because there's no internals. Because for the
You've got this.
the
Well, you've
Charlie,
mastered the swing wing, haven't you, on the F-14? So I'm guessing you can get it working. But then you had the issues on the fitter with it. So that's a big chunk of wing and a big chunk of weight to add in to a diecast model. But look, if there's a man who can make it work, no pressure, Noel. But we are looking at
and
you, mate.
also the reason for the B1 is that how you're gonna get the pilots in.
Yeah,
You know, with the tracker, at least the way the canopy is done, the panel lines, you can actually remove it, put it on, and it looks as if it's part of the thing. But with the B1, if you have something that have to open, then you can clearly see the line which should not be there.
no.
So that is, something to consider. Making the cockpit. Yeah.
How big is the B1 in comparison to the Hustler? Is it the same sort of size or is it a bit
No, it's
bigger?
much longer. I would
Oh,
say
Jesus.
the B1 is almost like like that.
You'd have to
You
pack
can
him in
see.
a coffin.
Yeah.
It wouldn't come in a wooden box.
Yeah.
You'd
Yeah.
have just six blokes carrying it down the
Yeah.
road. So bear with me. I've just got to let the dog out because the dog's being a dick. Bear with. Honestly, little dog, big pain in the arse. Honestly. But yeah, sorry about that. So on to the next one. I mean, I'm sure you can see. I don't know if can you see the comments at the bottom coming through, Noel, or am I the only one who can see them?
Not really because
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Oh, because you're on StreamYard, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of
it's
love for the B1. There's an awful lot of love for the B1. So it says I suppose a couple of people have said like I suppose you can keep the pilots fixed with no canopy option. He said I'm fine with that. But I know how you like everything opening, don't you? You like the extra little bits adding on because that's very much the Calibre sort of way, isn't it? In terms of the extra detailing, you know. But look, if there's a man who can find a way to do it, I'm going to ask you this one, but I know again I don't want you to reveal too much. But knowing that you've probably got a list in your mind of aircraft you'd like to do, ignore them. What other five would you add to that list? So I don't want you to reveal the ones that you're thinking about and you're going to
Oh
launch.
man.
I'd like you to think of five aircraft that might be ones you would like to do further down the line. Not necessarily do. There might be stuff that's already been done in the diecast world already.
So when I was at the Air Force Museum in Dayton, I took very intimate pictures of the Bronco. Right. So that's
Oh, okay.
one. I also surprisingly the MiG 29 was in the Air Force Museum.
Okay.
Right.
There's a couple of flyable ones, though, isn't there, in America? So it's a guy called Jared Isaacman. He works for
Yeah.
NASA. He's certainly got one, and he's actually restoring a Tornado F2 at the moment, which is due to fly at some point. The man's a maniac. I think he's got a MiG-23 as well. So it's quite popular in the States, isn't it? I think it's two flyable because was it Bill Gates who had one, or I don't know. Paul Allen.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
And I think the Fogler D is interesting. Obviously, I wanted to do the frog foot, but that was already done. So much for that. So five. I listed three, so two more. I would say like a A330 that's being used. I saw it in the RSCF at the at Singapore Air Show. And last one. Maybe like they were saying, like if you don't do the Tiger Shark, not the F5 but the F20 Tiger Shark.
Nice.
Yep.
So there you go. So a random selection of aircraft there from you, Noel. So onto some other bits. I mean, are there any modifications you're going to make to the B58 going forward? Is there anything you want to add to it, or you want to potentially change?
So the elephant in the room is the engines, right? The engine.
Yeah, I
itself.
didn't want to mention it now
So-
because I didn't want you to like
So
just
when
lose
I
your shit with me.
did, remember that there is no good model of the B58 to copy. Okay. And the Italo one is really not there at all. It's so wrong. And the monogram 148. I don't think I don't have the 148, so I can't put it together and scan it. And again, I don't think model kits done in that era is going to be any more accurate. So there was nothing for me to work on, nothing, right? It was just views, right? Side view, top view, and just put it together and look at actual pictures. This was all before I went to the museum, right? So the side view of what I found was the so-called most accurate, had the engines in that shape in the side view. So if I were to use that thing, the resultant image of the engines is going to be that size. And then I had no idea that there was no side view of the engines looking slimmer. Let's put it this way, right? And then there are also some comments about how the engines have evolved, and I can't confirm that because there is no factual data or literature that tells me that, oh, there was a version like this and then they changed it to like that. I don't know. But I do admit that in various B58 photographs that you see online, the engines are not as pronounced as my model. But like I said, the reason why my model was like that is because it stems from the side view of a blueprint. And there is no blueprint that has clear lines that has the engines in a slim state. Again, when you talk about blueprints, there are two kinds. The ones I'm talking about has to be really detailed. I'm not talking about those where you just see like a simple outline of the aircraft, right? We don't use that's not a
Well,
blueprint.
you didn't have a chance to LiDAR scan it, have you? Do you know what I mean? It's not as if you've got this big scanning kit to go around and do it. I mean, in an ideal world, I know obviously Corgi have moved forward with a lot of the newer styles, so like the Spitfire and the Spitfire TR9, they LiDAR scanned it. So if it's shit, you can't blame that, can you? Do you know what I mean? Because that should give you an absolutely perfect thingy. But then they also made the Tornado in 148, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Tornado in 148. Well, it's not in 148. I think one bit of it's in 148 and the other bit's in 142 or something like that. And it's just all over the show. So, or even slightly smaller. But, yeah, it's one of those things that I think before the model was released, I think everyone was worried about. But when it actually come out, everybody was, look, you can sit there. If you know and you see it, right? But it says a lot about the model as a whole, that nobody's really moaning about it so much now because they've got the model and they see it, and it's
the thing is, and the thing is, I always share the progress of everything I do. I share images I shared images of my side view, I believe, on Facebook. I've shared images of how it looks on the side, line drawings, basically. I've shared prototype pictures. Nobody said a damn thing. Right? If somebody would have said, "Oh, this is wrong," and show me how to correct it, don't just say it's wrong. It's easy. Oh, that's wrong. But what's right? If you want to tell me something is wrong, you show me what's right. Then we can go and do it. Because this whole thing is a whole. I'm not a guru, right? I'm not some spiritual guru who knows everything. I rely on actual pictures. I rely on people who are in the forces, who have actually touched the real thing, who knows definitely more than me. It's a community, right? It's a community. You got the aircraft photographers, you got
You're a
enthusiasts.
fan. That's what
Yeah,
you are,
so
isn't it? Right?
it's
You're a
all these
modeling
people
fan.
who have
Yeah.
the data, who should contribute, and it's free to contribute. I'm not saying no. I'm not going to listen to you. If you have something to provide, then show it to me, and I'll be gladly incorporate it into the mistakes. But nobody said anything about the engines until I showed the test shot. And
Yeah.
when the test shot, that means the molds are done. Okay,
Yeah.
don't expect me to go and change it now and then pay another,
I think that
ten
on a
thousand
serious note,
dollars.
though, on a
Yeah.
serious
So
note, on a
yeah,
serious note, that I mean, not everybody who buys diecast aircraft will watch this video. I'm sure there'll be a considerable write up on MH3 because the guys who know their shit go on MH3. But I think
sure.
in future, this is probably me being like the United Nations of the diecast world right now. If people have that research, and some of these people on MH3, if I think of Stu and I think of Mark Harbour, for example, they have Christian who's on here. They know their stuff. They know it really well. If they can help you with the development of a model, reach out to Noel. Don't
Yeah, of
just put
course.
it on
Yeah,
Facebook and go, shit. Reach out, just drop him a message. Say, look, I've got
yeah,
some documents. This is what I think it looks like. Before it goes through, it might be useful to you because I'm sure you'll be grateful to it, right?
yeah. And of course, I want to also address the other side of the community and fans who think that they have information, but when I receive those information, it's exactly what I see online. So I can't really like say, oh, you know, what I'm saying. So there were some people who say, oh, I got some information about a B58. I said, yeah, send it to me. And when I saw it, it's exactly what I saw online. So it's not
Yeah.
any like new information that you know. So
No, but look, it's good to hear you that actually, like you want to do the best. You're not a commercial whore in the sense that I'm obviously using that word in a really weird way there, but you don't knock out stuff to get a quick return on business. You want to make sure, and to probably one of your biggest faults, if I don't mind me saying, is you
yeah,
are
it
a
is.
perfectionist. You want,
Yeah, it
I
is.
guess, you want
My
your
curse.
factory to operate at your level and not everybody. And as a manager myself, and I've been a manager, not everybody thinks like you, and that's really difficult to
Yeah.
get people to get up to that level. So I think the bit for me is yeah, look, Christian has just said there, which I think is lovely. Look, he said, look, I probably did not help. I think I just added to Noel's stress, which I regret. And
No, it's
no, but
fine.
that's nice. But that's nice to see.
Oh,
That's nice to
speaking of
see.
Christian, like I said, okay. So the reason why I had banned Mr. Christian is because of the things he
Get
said,
out.
right? You don't say those things to a person because those are nasty things, right? I'm not sure what went through the mind, but at a point of time when what was said, it's hurtful, right? Because we have to be accountable for our actions, as simple as that. And the reason why I refrain from speaking to some people in the community is because of their actions. Because I believe that uh, you know again, I am responsible for my actions, and I've never blatantly put somebody down, right? I've never purposefully said somebody was something else, or rather speak with behind somebody's back. Those are the things that I don't do. If I'm speaking about somebody behind somebody's back and showing uh, evidence, that's because I'm sharing this person to another person to support my claim. That's all, right? I don't like spread rumors or fabricate nonsense. So that is something that I take very seriously because I don't want people to be two-faced. That means they they trash you in the background and then they talk to you. Hey, Mark, I'm your friend, but I trash Mark in the background. I don't appreciate that. So that for me is my rules. So sorry to uh, go off on a tangent, but like I said, the rules are rules, and you know maybe I will. And there's always forgiveness. Maybe I will go to the screen and just unban Christian. No worries. Yeah, it's all good.
And
We're all
I'm
adults.
feeling, I love
Yeah,
it. I feel it's
yeah,
just turned into the Jerry Springer show, isn't it? It's like,
yeah.
but
No,
look, fair play. Look, and obviously, the thing is, like, Christian for me, he's a great guy. You know, he's given me so much knowledge, so much time, so much effort into helping me, and sometimes people can't agree on everything. You know, it depends what color your favourite colour is, what football team you support. But what I love is the fact that what he's done is brought, people understand where they've gone wrong, don't they? And that I think, stuff like this is really good because it sees how much passion you bring to the hobby, mate. And I've sent you messages at times, and I'm sure it's not going into too much detail. And I've gone, well, no, that was quite strong, not because I'm being a prick, because sometimes it's not just chill,
yeah,
And
yeah.
and I think I've done that a few times and just said, look, just calm down. Look, we know you're great at your job, but you're a one-man band. You aren't a consortium. You've not got you're not a PLC. Everything runs through you. The quality control, making sure your factory are knocking them out, the designs, the schemes, everything, the colours, everything goes through you. You haven't got this team of people around you. You're
Yep.
you're getting people almost from a third party trying to get your vision brought to life. And it's difficult. And like you said before, going all the way back, you've had a lot of shit on your plate. And look, you've got to the point now where you've produced this model and people are going absolutely ballistic for it. And long may it continue, mate. So anyhow, look, I'm conscious we've run over an hour. Are you still okay for a bit?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm
Good,
good.
good. Look, I've only got a few more questions, mate, and I don't want
Yeah.
to, like I say, I don't want to keep you all morning over in China. But there's a really good question here. Somebody's asked, said, would you ever consider doing an ultimate F-16 in 148? Obviously, JC Wings have just announced this new, well, I say it's new, it's
Is
the
there?
Calibre Wings F-16, but they've announced it as a different type of brand. It's a more
Oh,
detailed version, a bit like Forces of Valor did this Ultimate Metal version, whatever it was called. But yeah, sorry, going back, it'd in fact be smaller than the B58, so totally doable. Imagine the possibilities and the level of detail, especially in the cockpit and landing gear. So a 148 F-16, would it work?
so I've actually, again, hopefully Vincent will not be taking umbrage with me on this one.
Yep.
So I've actually been in talks with Walterson, Force of Valor. I would say at least 3 years ago, right? On collaboration on the 148.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
because again, on a point of time, I was looking for a factory, and they have a factory, and as long as the factory listens to my instructions, we can get it done. Because again, a factory is a factory. It's all the same. It's all workers, right? It's about the management. Um,
Very good
and
guy, by the way, Vincent. I just want to shout that
yeah,
out.
yeah,
He's a
yeah,
really, really
yeah.
sort of man.
So
Obviously,
so yeah, so obviously he has also done some wonderful things with his own F-16 in 72 scale, right? We don't talk about that. So,
yeah.
but the whole idea was to see if we can come together, join forces, and do 148 scale. And exactly the first subject is F-16. Okay. Apparently, there's nothing from that discussion, and I am contemplating a few things. So first of all, I'm toying with the idea of doing a 164 scale, right?
Okay.
Because I
Which is a
see so
scale for
many.
cars, usually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a scale for
Yeah.
cars, right? So it's a scale for cars, but at 164, it elevates 72 scale to a bigger spectrum. At, and it's bigger, you can see more things. And because everybody having 72 scale is the norm, right? But at 64 scale, it is bigger, but not as big as 148. And I'm thinking that when people talk about collection, everything at 164, there's in thing now with the cars. With aircrafts coming in, it might appeal to the car collectors to collect aircraft. And then it might be a new skill for aircraft collectors to collect and see more detail. So it's all sort of like an elite skill, right? It's your favorite 72, but a little bit bigger at
It
164.
gives a higher detail, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about that. It's just something in my mind. I'm toying with it. Because if you go 148, then you're being conventional. Just like all the model kits, you have 172, you have 148. So and then even though you love to have stuff with 148, as and when you get more models, you'll find that there's no space in your display for 148, and that is also the question, right? It's a mix of, you want to give people more, and when it gets bigger, you are afraid that it might not be able to survive too long. It's like, I can't buy any more 148. It's just too big. Yeah.
A lot of
So that's
people are
something that
saying
I have
though
in
that how
mind.
much
Yeah.
they'd like a 148 tool, and Christian's obviously said would be the most successful 148 tooling today. If done really well, it would make a killing. And obviously, there's so many countries, so many nations with the F-16 who,
Yeah. Okay.
even the Ukraine would. Obviously, Ukraine's probably the most recent, I guess.
Hmm.
But so yeah, look, it's interesting. It's certainly a possibility. Somebody else has suggested a Tu-22 to complete his supersonic nuclear bomber trio. Would
Yeah.
that be one you
Backfire
potentially
B.
like? The
Yeah, backfire
backfire.
B, right? It's just like a B1. So if you can
Oh,
do a
Mark,
B1, you
stop
can do a back.
scratching your lug.
Yeah.
We can hear it. Sorry about that. I've got a really itchy ear, Jamie.
Okay.
Apologies.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
we've got a few more left. We've got 3 more questions left. So Ramen Toys have some overlap with Calibre wings
Yeah.
on the
B.
Aces of Aviation line. There we go. Looking magnificent. What are some characters we could potentially see in the future that align with both with aviation fans? Is there any more you're thinking of knocking out?
Yeah. Like I said, I had created this Ace of Aviation in 172 scale, and there are a few very famous pilots, right? So we could probably sculpt them. I think Chuck Yeager just right. That's right.
Yep.
And
He passed away a couple of years ago, didn't he? I think Chuck
yeah,
Yeager, maybe 2, 3 years ago.
and was it there's the
Bud
famous
Anderson?
F-14 F4 pilot Robin something.
Robin Olds?
Robin Olds, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'll
magnificent
probably,
moustache.
yeah. So yeah, those are those in mind, as well as maybe some more prominent F-14 pilots. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Talking of F-14, I don't know if you had a chance to watch it the other day, but we had Dave Bio Baranek on just a chat. Really good.
Yes.
If you're thinking of bringing back the F-14, his
Yeah.
last aircraft, which I believe is a Hasegawa kit, the decals
Yeah.
and that'd be a nice one to release now. But it'd
Yes.
also be lovely for him as
It
well.
was actually announced. I think I announced it actually. It was supposed to be 1418. So that's coming up this year. I will see to it. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant. So there you are, folks. Another exclusive. Look, Dave is a really lovely guy. I mean, if you'll get a chance, I'm sure if you gave him a ring, I'm sure he'd spend time chatting to you about if you want to chat F-14 on Calibre wings. I'm sure he'd spend time with you, mate. He's an absolute diamond of a man. So just 2 more questions to ask you before
Okay.
we sort of close it up. So
Okay.
where do you see Calibre wings in the next 5 years as a contributor to the diecast aviation industry? And what does the closure of Century Wings mean for its future?
Well, I think Century Wings was never in the conversation, because ever since we started, they were just doing reissues of the F-14s, and that was about it. I don't think there's anything else that they did, right? It was just
Was Century Wings the old Forces of Valor
no, no, no,
F-14?
no, 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 no.
Who?
Century Wings was the first detailed F-14, and then I think Force of Valor sort of copied it, I think.
Oh, okay. So it was the other
Yeah,
way around.
and then Hobby Master copied Century Wings. So I mean, it's a verbatim copy. It's not even, there's no effort to
So
change
literally
up.
took it, put it,
Yeah, there's no.
dismantled it, and put it through the tooling process.
Yeah, so I think Century Wings for me has no bearing. I never saw them as anything other than having a significant part of the diecast era timestamp that they produce such a back then detailed stuff, and the SR-71 and all these things. So yeah, I mean, kudos to Century Wings for putting diecast collectors with that era of good models. And I think the sculptor Yoshi or something,
Yeah.
Mr. Yoshi-san. So yeah, I mean, kudos to that. But like I said, in terms of Century Wings and how it correlates to us, there's no correlation because it's totally two different things, and they weren't coming up with new tooling anyways, ever since their 10th anniversary. So so we just celebrated our 10th anniversary, although it was a bit of a like almost 3-4 years of void. There's no models, and I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, right? So we released our B58. I got to get more models coming, so please bear with me as I restart the engine. It's going to take some time because a body at rest tends to stay at rest, and to start it takes more energy. So I'm going to do that. And then for the next 5 years, let's see. Let's first of all put up the S2 tracker, and let's see if we can move into 148 territory, and then some of your if I can even get to do my Bronco, I'm not sure. At 172 is so small, right? So we'll see.
It is a
And
dinky little
really,
thing.
yeah,
It's a very
yeah,
dinky
yeah,
little thing. I mean,
yeah,
we get to see. There's one on the European circuit that
mm,
does the rounds quite a bit, and it's a
yeah,
very skinny fuselage, but
yeah,
it can throw itself around.
yeah,
It's a great little aircraft.
yeah. And I think one of my goals, hopefully, is I'm able to collaborate with model kit makers because I was actually in Nuremberg, Spielwarenmesse, like a year ago and 2 years ago. I was there. And every time when I went there, I was basically seeing the European model makers, like the ones the guys from Ukraine, some other European, and then they have done the molds. They have done the models, not the molds per se. I'm not interested in the molds. I'm interested in the 3D models. So I was speaking with them, saying that, hey, can we collaborate so that I can expedite production? That means if you already have the 3D, can we collaborate to use your 3D? I'm making a die-cast model. I'm not making a competing model kit. You don't have to worry about me competing with you for your 3D, for your model, because I'm doing a completed model. But what happens is that with your model, it expedites the process. It takes a long time to make a 3D model. And for what it's worth, how many years I have left, how many more 3D can I produce? But if I had the collaboration of all these model kit makers, and then they provide me their 3D, I can co-brand. This is a Z and Calibre wings production. That means they are original designs, but adjusted to become a die-cast model, right? If you have and all these other Academy and Trumpeter, they've all these so many models, right? Just pick and choose what we want, do a collaboration, and then get the models out in a more speedy time than starting from scratch to draw and check and everything. So I think that is something that I hope to achieve in 5 years' time, but who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that was the penultimate question. The final question, it's
Yeah.
quite a really good question, this. I should have put down who asked it. So, of all the models you've produced, what is the one specific model you're most proud to produce in what livery?
Oh, okay. Wow. I'm very proud of the SU-24 because before making that, there was no accurate SU-24. I
Stunning
believe
Vic,
in
yeah.
model because they all got the nose wrong, and so I think I did justice to that. So the SU-24 is one of my, in fact, one of my best in my mind. F-14, it's so mainstream that you can't really say it is and I think I didn't get the canopy too right on the F-14. As in hindsight, it's gonna be much closer to the things lower. Of course, you mentioned about the anthril, the wings, right? The angle, things like that. So, and F-16, it was a little bit difficult because of certain panel lines that I think I didn't get right on the fuselage. So that was a bit of a bummer for me. Although I got the bubble canopy shape correct. So everyone is actually a baby. But which one is the best? I would say maybe the B58 because that's the latest, and I always Kaizen. Uh, Kaizen meaning that I want to do better for the next one than I did from this one. So yeah, I think B58 currently is and I was there. I witnessed the actual aircraft in Dayton. So I think that is would say would be the one. Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. Look, that concludes my questioning
Okay.
tonight, Your Honour. No, honestly, thank you, mate. I mean, it's been way too long since we caught up, but I'm sure I speak for everybody who's joined tonight, and there's been one hell of a lot of people who have stuck on for the entire hour and
How many
20
people?
minutes. I don't. There's 20 watching at the moment,
Okay.
but
Okay.
there's
Cool.
been loads coming on and off. But a
Okay.
lot of people are stuck all the way through. And people have jumped on and off, and obviously it's late at night, especially in the UK, and I don't even have a clue what time it is over in America. It's probably around sort of 3, 4 in the
Mm-hmm.
afternoon. But look, thank you to everybody who's stuck on and watched. Really enjoyed having a chat with you, Noel. An hour, it's just flown by. An hour and 20 has flown by. But
Yeah.
I think, speaking for us all, well done on producing this unbelievable model. Like I said, I'll get to get my hands only not on mine, but on Gary's one in the next couple of weeks when he's coming down to see me. But look, thanks, mate, for taking time out of your obviously getting up really, really early in the morning to
Yeah.
do this. Thankfully, not at 3 o'clock as we originally planned.
Yeah. Thank
Didn't
you.
think that through, did we? But look, I mean, if we can, mate, we'll try and catch up in a few months' time.
Sure.
Maybe
Yeah.
after you've had the Beijing model show. And
Definitely.
if you've got any other new bits that you've got or you want to just show on here, it'd
Yeah.
be fantastic. But look,
Yeah.
great to see you smashing it, mate. Great to see you've absolutely nailed the V58 because I know how much of a real sort of, how much love and time and effort and dare I say finance you've had to put in here as well. But now you're getting just rewards, mate, because like I said, you've managed to sell out a fantastic model and people are going ballistic for it. So look, anything else you want to add before we close it, mate?
Yeah. I think more importantly than my success or whatever is that people get to own something that they really want. That's the crux of it, right? So again, no point putting out something that is I mean, like quickly put together and just for the sake of a new mold. You got to have effort because this hobby is all about detail. And if you don't have the details, and then most people are buying things because they have no choice,
Yeah,
right? In the current market, they have no choice. There's no other manufacturer. I was speaking to S14, the Japanese brand S14, when we were in Japan, and we had this conversation that it seems like the diecast world is reliant on people like us, and I see that JC is doing good stuff now with their F4
yeah,
Phantoms and all these things. So please keep it up because the hobby needs the creators. Without the creators, then we're just getting stuff that is just shoved down our throats because there's no other option. I mean, when you talk about diecast models, the only brand that people know is Hobby Master. It seems like there's no other brands. There's only Hobby Master. Hobby Master is diecast aircraft. That's it. But Hobby Master should really spend some effort to just spend some effort and make something better because they have obviously the resources. But then again, who am I to tell them anything? So that's my final thoughts. Yeah, keep the. I mean, again, it's the 80-20 rule. Possibly 80% of the collectors have no idea what we're talking about, and they have no idea what they're buying. But 20% are the ones that really sees everything, and that's what we are doing it for.
yeah.
Because again, you can only do great work, as Steve Jobs said, if you love what you do, and that's what I'm doing. What I'm applying, and I got to first get over my own conscience. If I'm putting out something that's shit, can I say, "Oh yeah, sure," because they're gonna buy it anyway. I'm gonna get my money. No, because I can't put out shit. I got to put out something that's at least decent enough, and that's the whole reason why we're here. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. No, I completely agree that 20% are the ones who have been invested in this hobby since the late 90s, early 2000s when it first become a thing, when plastic model kits weren't the only thing that you could get. So the ones who, like me, who could put a model kit together but painted it like they were registered blind. I've actually got a little bit better at that now, to be fair, Noel. But
Cool.
but that was, you know, these are the heart and soul of the hobby. But also on the flip side, we want new people to come in and fill it as well. So look, mate, I'll let you go now. I'll let you get on with your, I'm guessing, Monday morning over in China.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I need to get to bed because I'm up in about 6 hours time as well. So, but look, thank you
Okay.
so much, mate. Thank you everybody who's tuned
Thank you.
in tonight. Look, what a really fun evening discussing model planes. And like I said, we could have gone on for twice, 3 times as long. But look, all the best, mate. I'll catch up soon, I'm sure. But well
Okay.
done. The Hustler's absolutely sensational. Anyhow, I'll share this on YouTube and I'll tag Calibre Wings in it as well. But thanks,
Sure.
everyone. I hope you have a lovely week. And I'll
Thank
speak
you.
to you all soon.
All
Cheers,
right.
Noel.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye, mate.